I was clinically dead for a week. The afterlife is not what you think. It's not heaven, nor is it hell. Jason, the one that signed up for this, was concerned. What if you can't bring me back? I sighed. We've run multiple trials, and I can assure you that you're perfectly safe in our hands. We wouldn't do this unless we were absolutely certain we had the tools to bring you back. Now, please continue. I need to know that you understand the process. He took a deep breath before speaking. You're going to kill me for an entire week in stasis, meaning I won't decay, and I'm to report back what I see on the other side. Though his explanation was a bit simplistic, I nodded in agreement. It was a lot to ask, but considering he was already standing at death's doorstep, it might reassure him to know what's awaiting him on the other side. What Professor Hall theorized was that a true experience of death only occurs after the brain has lost all neural activity. The issue being that once someone reaches that stage, permanent brain damage would be the inevitable result. Thus the chamber, able to halt necrosis until we could bring the subjects back. And our first willing subject would be Jason Moore. However, we were wrong, and we would soon discover the horrifying truth behind the afterlife. Listen, Jason, I know you signed the contract, but you can still back out. There's no shame in being afraid, I said as I put a comforting hand on his shoulder. He shook his head in response. No, I need to know. I can't just die without knowing the truth. All right, then I'm going to inject you with the cryoserum. It's highly carcinogenic. But since I already have cancer, I guess that doesn't matter. Jason laughed nervously, trying to brighten the mood. I smirked. Jason had an unnaturally optimistic aura surrounding him, despite the terrible cards life had dealt him. This is going to hurt, Jason, but only for a moment, I said as I injected the serum in through he tensed up in agony. He couldn't move too much due to the restraints, but he still tried his best to get loose. He let out a quick yelp before suddenly falling still. His heart had stopped, and the experiment had officially begun. We rushed him into the chamber and locked it. A blue gas filled it and his temperature dropped to just above freezing. Any further and the water in his body would expand, rupturing his cells, making his death irreversible. The low temperature combined with the serum would keep him in stasis for the next 7 days while we patiently waited, keeping a close eye on his status. EEG and ECG readings are negative. He's dead, doctor, one of the assistants said. Keep monitoring him for the next 24 hours. If there's any sign of life, let me know, I ordered. The Hall-modified electroencephalography was a tool specifically designed by Professor Hall to measure electrical activity beyond what we thought was possible, and had shown that during brain degeneration small signals are given off. He'd previously proven that it could not only read signals from the brain but translate them. Essentially what it came down to was a tool that could read the unconscious mind. But if Jason was truly dead or in stasis, we shouldn't see anything at all. An absolute confirmation of death. A day passed, and we'd gotten through the crucial stage of Jason's death. If there were to be any complications, they should have already happened, which put us at ease while we waited for the remainder of the week to get by. As we waited, I spent a lot of time by Jason's side. I'd signed up for the program following a near-death experience of my own. Though I had only been legally dead for a couple of minutes, I'd seen a whole world of peace and utter beauty, visited a place beyond the realm of human comprehension. Those 2 minutes were the best of my entire life, and I ached to return, if only vicariously through someone else. On the 4th day of the experience, we detected a small anomaly in Jason's HEEG reading. Just a blip, but enough to be concerned. We immediately called Professor Hall for help, asking if the signal could be translated or if the machine had just malfunctioned. He took the readings back to his office, and we didn't hear from him for the next 2 days. As the 6th day rolled around, Professor Hall didn't even show up at the laboratory. Any attempt at calling him was met with an answering machine, and we quickly grew concerned by his absence. We then sent one of the researchers to check on him, but his work apartment had been vacated without any clue as to where he'd gone.